Hello everyone, welcome back to our HTML course series where we are learning HTML from scratch. In today's video, we are going to dive deep into HTML attribute and explore the fundamental aspects of HTML attributes. By the end of this video, you'll have a solid understanding of how to use attributes to enhance your HTML documents. So, let's get started. What are HTML attributes? HTML attributes provide additional information about an HTML element. They are used to modify the behavior and appearance of an element. Let's see some basic HTML attribute syntax and HTML attribute examples. HTML attribute syntax. The basic syntax of attribute must follow the following standards, where value either be string value or key value pair property. Here is the attribute syntax code. HTML attributes examples. There are numerous attributes available in HTML, each serving a specific purpose. I've compiled a list of some commonly used attributes that you'll encounter frequently during your HTML journey. Here are some commonly used HTML attributes with examples. ID attribute. The ID attribute is a fundamental HTML attribute used to uniquely identify an element within an HTML document. It allows you to assign a specific identifier to an element, making it easier to target and manipulate that element using CSS or JavaScript. The ID attribute should be unique within the HTML document, meaning no two elements should have the same ID value. It is typically used to select and style individual elements or to provide a target for links and JavaScript functions. To assign an ID to an element, you include the ID attribute within the opening tag of the element and provide a unique identifier as the attribute's value. Here's an example. In the example above, a div element is given the ID myElement. This ID can then be used in CSS to style the element. Class attributes. The class attribute is an essential attribute in HTML that allows you to assign one or more class names to an element. It is used to group and classify elements on a web page, providing a way to style and target them with CSS or JavaScript. By assigning a class name to an HTML element using the class attribute, you can create a relationship between that element and CSS styles defined for that class. This means you can apply the same styles to multiple elements by assigning them the same class name. Here is syntax code. Please note, technically, the value for an ID and class attribute may contain any character, except whitespace characters. However, to avoid inadvertent errors, only ASCII letters, digits, underscore, and hyphen should be used, and the value for an ID attribute should start with a letter. Style attribute. The style attribute in HTML is used to apply inline styles to an individual HTML element. It allows you to define specific CSS, cascading style sheets, properties directly within the HTML tag itself, overriding any external or internal style sheets. The style attribute is added as an attribute to an HTML tag, and its value is a set of CSS property value pairs enclosed within double quotation marks. Each property value pair is separated by a semicolon. Here's an example. In the above example, the style attribute is applied to the p-paragraph tag. The specified styles within the attribute value modify the appearance of the paragraph. In this case, the text color is set to red and the font size is set to 20 pixels. src attribute. The src attribute is an important attribute used in HTML to specify the source URL or file path of external resources, primarily associated with the image and script elements. When used with the image element, the src attribute specifies the location of the image file that should be displayed on the web page. The value of the src attribute is typically a URL pointing to the image file on the web, or a relative file path within the website's directory structure. For example, in the above example, the src attribute is set to the URL, which indicating that the image file myimage.jpg should be fetched from that location and displayed on the web page. When used with the script element, the src attribute specifies the source file, usually a JavaScript file, that should be loaded and executed by the browser. This attribute is commonly used to include external JavaScript files into an HTML document. For example, in the above example, the src attribute is set to script.js, indicating that the JavaScript file script.js located in the same directory as the HTML file should be loaded and executed. It's important to note that the src attribute is not limited to just image and script elements. It can also be used with other elements like audio, video, iframe, and more, depending on the specific purpose and requirements of the element. href attribute. The href attribute is one of the most commonly used attributes in HTML, specifically within anchor tags. It stands for hypertext reference and is used to define the destination or target of a hyperlink. When you include the href attribute within an anchor tag, you provide the URL of the page, file, or resource you want to link to. This URL can be an absolute URL, starting with http:// or https://, which links to an external website, or it can be a relative URL, which points to a file or page within your own website. For example, in this example, the anchor tag creates a hyperlink with the text "click here." The href attribute is set to https://www.example.com, indicating that clicking on the link will take the user to the website specified by that URL. Alt attribute. The alt attribute is an essential attribute used in HTML, specifically for the image tag. It stands for alternative text and provides a textual description of an image when it cannot be displayed. It also important for SEO and accessibility purpose. When image cannot be displayed to user in the browser, user will see that alt text instead of image. For example, in this example, the alt attribute contains the alternative text "a beautiful sunset over the ocean." If the image fails to load, the text will be displayed in its place, allowing users to understand the image's content. Title attributes. The title attribute can also be used with other HTML elements to provide tooltips or additional information when the user hovers over the element. When the user hovers over an element with the title attribute, a small tooltip or pop-up will appear displaying the text specified in the attribute. For example, in this example, when the user hovers over the anchor tag, a tooltip will appear with the text "Visit example website." These are just a few examples of the many HTML attributes available for modifying the behavior and appearance of HTML elements. You will learn about more attributes during this entire HTML course. Live demo. Let's put our knowledge to the test with a simple example. I'll show you how to use a combination of HTML attributes to create a basic web page layout. Let's jump into the Visual Studio Code editor to write some code. Let's create a new HTML file, index.html. Now type HTML5 and select the HTML5 boilerplate skeleton code suggested by the Visual Studio Code editor and hit enter on the keyboard. Now, first update the text content inside the title tag. This content will be displayed in the browser tab bar. Now, add the div tag, which is used to make a section block for elements. And insert the ID attribute with a unique identification value. Please keep in mind that no two elements should have the same ID value. Now, add some styling such as width and margin for alignment of the web page by using the style element. This time I am adding an internal styling type, which is another method to add styling to any element. You can access the ID attribute of any element by using the hashtag hash notation, just like this. Now, add the h1 heading tag and write some text content inside it. Let's add the class attribute inside the h1 tag and add some internal styling like before. You can access the class attribute of any element by using the dot notation, just like this. Now, add the p-paragraph tag to write some dummy text summary of the page with some inline styling. Now, add the image tag and pass the src attribute in the image tag. Now enter the image URL inside the src attribute. You can also pass some width and height using the style attribute for styling. At last, add the anchor tag, which is used to navigate users to some resources files or URL using their path absolute or relative path. Also, I am passing the title attribute which shows users some tooltip information whenever they hover over the link. This title attribute can be inserted into any element in HTML. Now save the file and open it in the browser. As you can see, by using different HTML attributes inside HTML tags, you can achieve a more sophisticated design and appearance in an HTML web page. Also, when I hover over the link tag, we see tooltip information of the title attribute that we provided in the code. You can do some more styling like background color to change the background color of the div element and the other element which are child to it. Let's save the file. Now it's looking better. Let's understand some differences between the ID attribute and the class attribute. The ID attribute value should be unique to every element in the HTML page and can be passed only once. Just like this, we cannot pass the second value to this ID. Also, you can pass the ID attribute and the class attribute to the same element. Just like this. On the other hand, you can pass multiple values to the class attribute just like it, which will be used to add some common styling. Also, you can use the same class value for multiple elements that share the same styling. This will help us to save some time in removing redundant styling code. Just like here, I am passing the align class to the div tag, which will center align all the elements inside the div element. Or you can pass the same align class to the h1 heading to add center alignment to the h1 heading only. Let's save the file. Now see the output result. It is looking much better than before with some common styling. If you need this source code, you can download this demo source code file from our ZeroSag GitHub page courses repository. Link in the description box. Congratulations! You've now learned about HTML attributes. Make sure to do more practice using different attributes with different tags to enhance your web development skills. That's all for today's video on HTML attributes. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions or need further clarification, feel free to leave a comment below. If you want to learn more, check out the complete HTML course link in the description box. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Happy coding, and I'll see you in the next video.